This is Bleav in Buckeyes. I'm Bryant Browning with All-American cornerback Chimdi Chekwa. This show is brought to you guys by FanDuel. Chim, what's going on, man? It's a new week. Spring is it's almost there, man. What's up, man? How you doing? How you feeling?
Almost. I'm feeling good, man. I got, maybe a couple months ago, man, I got some new glasses. They gave me the wrong color. It's like a gray color, so they had to reorder them. 2 months later,
You talking about
I show up.
the frame or the lens? Frame or the lens?
The frame.
The frame.
2 months
Okay.
later, the new frame comes in to replace the ones because it was the wrong order. And they ended up giving me the same one. So it was the wrong order again. So I finally, just today, finally got the ones that is exactly like the sample, all black. So, it's a good day. Good Monday.
There you go. Man, you look and you're looking sharp, man. Look, if I slid you a book, you have no problem with reading it, man. But hey, man, let's get into it, man. Our Buckeyes, they went to the combine, and I don't know, we should be surprised, but man, our guys showed out. I think that was the prize of the bell or the star of the gala, whatever you want to call it, man. But our guys showed up, especially being led by our linebackers and Arvell, Reese, and Sonny Styles, and those 40s, man. I think both will end up getting officially at a 4.46. Man, that's some big guys moving, man. Right?
Crazy impressive. Big guys moving. I think they both weigh around 246, 24. Let's just call it 246, 247, somewhere around there. Both run a 4.46. It's like, you do the creative play on like a Madden or whatever. Like, that's literally what both of them are. And it's crazy that they made up the linebacking group on one defense. Literally one defense had both of these guys 240 plus, 4.4 40s. Sonny Styles, who did all the events. And if I'm Sonny Styles, I'm doing everything. If they added like a 400-meter dash or something crazy, I'm doing that too.
Dunk contest, I'm on. Yeah, let's do
Because boy, does he have some talent, man. Like, he can do it all. The 40-inch plus vertical, I think 43 inches or something like
Yeah, I
that.
think 43. Yep.
It's crazy, man. It's just
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like, his size, just his measurables alone, understanding that he came in as a safety threw me, because I didn't know he was 6'5". Honestly, I didn't know he was 6'5". I thought maybe 6'3", 6'4". But goodness gracious, it's just impressive.
Yeah, man, it's just very impressive. And obviously, like, we knew who Sonny Styles was, right? Like, this 4 or 5-star safety from Central Ohio. Also, his dad is a Ohio State Buckeyes. Well, we knew what type of talent he brought in. But let's just talk about, I guess, what it takes, that work ethic for him to gain 40 pounds, get a little bit taller. And, they have obviously he's been rated high. They have his high school measurables, like what he did, at the high school level. But just to kind of gain that, learn a new position, and just still improve with his athletic ability. I mean, is that on Coach Mick? Is that just on genetics? Is that on, just the right mindset it takes to be a top-rated football player?
Yeah, I take all of the above.
What you do with
man. I
that?
take all of the above. He always came in. When you saw him young, he had the frame at 17 that you knew he could put on some weight, some muscle, and still look like he didn't really gain a pound. Right? He had that frame, and he clearly was able to do that. But I mean, that's definitely putting the work in. If you watch him play, I think one missed tackle all season. You saw how you can diagnose the run and close on the ball carrier. And, his talent, his ability showed up when he runs through Miami offensive lineman to go make a tackle, or he comes off on the edge and has the blitz. And you can see that he's worked on his pass rush move when he's knocking the hands down. So there's the athleticism is just crazy. But you can also see his ability to grow as a linebacker, a guy who always was a skilled position, was a safety or whatever, being able to move to a new position, learn a position, understand defense, understand how to diagnose offenses. That's been clear. And I think, his floor is already high. But after that combine is just showing what he can do from an athletic standpoint. He has so much more to go. And I'm curious, and I'm interested in your take on this, but I'm curious if he could ever get to the outside linebacker edge
I knew
type
you was
player.
going there.
Listen,
I
because
was just about to ask you the same thing.
I'm the guy that when I played and I was in Oakland, I'm watching. We lost a lot of games in Oakland. I'm watching, edge players, pass rushers for the following year to see, okay, who we gonna draft in the top 5? Like who's coming in, and then when they get there, I'm watching one. I always watch one-on-ones. I always watch my D lineman one-on-ones, and I would know, okay, how aggressive can I be at corner based on how fast this guy can beat a one-on-one matchup. If this guy's can beat a one-on-one matchup, I know, look, I gotta stay on top, and it's gonna get hard. So if I had a guy personally, if I had a guy like Sonny Styles on my team, as great as he is at a middle linebacker, he's a really good prospect and a really good middle linebacker. But if Sonny Styles is on my team, on this 3rd and 8, I want to rush the passer, bro. I want to rush the passer because I want to be aggressive and I want to stop this first down. But I'm interested in what do you think about a guy who started at safety, just is kind of figuring out linebacker the last couple of years, right? And his prospect maybe in the next level at some point, and maybe not full time, right? But man, situationally, 3rd down here or there, maybe putting his hand down or standing up and being able to rush around the edge and do some of that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, he could do it, right? So we and obviously you guys, for our Bleav in Buckeyes fans, you've been with us for the last couple of seasons. This has been something me and you've been preaching for at least 2 or 3 years. I think this is his 3rd year starting. Yeah. We've been talking about it for at least 2.5, right? Yeah. And I think for Arvell Reese, a solid 2.5 with him as well. Because when we saw these guys, it was like, man, these guys can do a lot, but particularly Styles, it's like you want to get to that point where you're just roughed up in the game, right? And you are really affecting the game. And the best way to do that on the defensive side, if you're not guarding a top tier wide receiver, is affecting the quarterback. We all know that, I mean, not all, but there's a guy with similar talents in Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson who came out, I don't know, it was called 4 or 5 seasons ago. Really similar to Sonny, where taller guy, super athletic, goes to the combine, he kills it, runs a very fast 40. He's just super athletic for his size. And he gets drafted in the 1st round, so it's not like he all of a sudden fell off the face. He was taken in the 1st round. But if you look at his actual stats in games and him playing on the Sunday, he's been bounced from at least a couple teams so far. He's not ever been very productive when it comes to his play on Sundays. And we don't want, Sonny to fall in that same boat. He never, Isaiah Simmons doesn't really rush the passer. So it's now kind of getting in between, like, okay, what is he? Is he a safety? Yeah. Can he guard? Well, you can't touch guys. It's the NFL. You can't touch guys no more. So that you got a small guy, somebody in the slot, it's going to be tough for him to keep up. You get a guy coming out the running back. If he's at the bubble linebacker, can he keep up with a guy? Because they're just smaller. If you're smaller, you're quicker. And that's usually how it goes, right? So, it's just different things that he always had to kind of figure out for himself. But if one thing that we know that Styles has is the mindset to take on a lot of responsibility. So like you said, if you get him early and you kind of harp on this and you teach him this and you make him do it early and often, it's definitely something he could add to his game. Yeah. If you're looking at Arvell Reese running fast 40 as well. And he's projected as potentially being as high as maybe the number 2 pick in this draft. What's the difference? He already showed that he can rush the passer. He's been doing it on a consistent basis at Ohio State throughout his 1 season at Ohio State. And so therefore, hey, we know he could get out there and he kind of could affect the game off his pass rush. So he runs a 4.4 40. And you're just like, well, we know he could do it, right?
And the difference in value, so what's going to end up happening is Arvell Reese likely, it's not for certain, but he likely gets drafted higher than Sonny Styles. And the reason being is because of what he does. Arvell Reese, what he does best out of everything, he's a talent, but what he does best out of everything is he can rush the pass. Right? He can run through offensive linemen that's 350 pounds. He can run around them and all those things, and he hasn't even reached his peak there. So there's more there. And because of that specifically, he is a higher value pick than Sonny Styles. But if you look at Sonny Styles from a talent standpoint and what he just displayed at the combine, I mean, there's no reason really but just because he's a middle linebacker and at the end of the day, impacting the quarterback is going to get you higher value. I think Sonny Styles is well positioned, and we've seen him come on blitzes. So if you watch him on a blitz, you're like, yeah, this guy needs to go after the quarterback. And to be middle linebacker, no matter how athletic you are, you have to really be able to diagnose and go make plays. And he has that as well. And I think that's where the biggest difference between him and Isaiah Simmons is he's really kind of grasped that linebacker position and truly understands the defense. So at a minimum, he'll be able to do that at an elite level. But I think for him to get the most money that's out there for him, everybody can't do it, bro. Like, not everybody has that level of talent, right? When you have that level of talent, to maximize it, you got to go hit your head on the quarterback, here and there.
That's for sure. Now let's talk about the other Styles brother, Lorenzo Styles. Lorenzo Styles, obviously he's been on nickel for 2 seasons now, basically 2 seasons. This year he got a little bit more creative. He did several things for us on special teams. Got a little nicked up, right? Had to play through a couple of injuries and bounced around a little bit there. But I think I was surprised. I don't know about you, but I was surprised to see him go out and run a 4.26 in the 40. Blazing fast, like, so that I guess it might be genetics with those styles, brother. But man, what does that 40 tell you about Lorenzo Styles and his potential of playing at the next level?
That's for sure some genetics there. I need to get the backstory on moms because I know dad was an elite athlete, but you get a guy at 240 jumping 40 plus inch vertical, and then you got the other brother running a 4.2. Like, I gotta see. Moms bring something to the table that is supporting these players being these high level athletes as well.
You ever see the movie The Incredibles?
Yeah, that's exactly. That's exactly what they are. So, quick correction for Lorenzo. He actually only played nickel. He only started at nickel for the 1 season. Okay. And the other year, he didn't start at nickel, but he transferred. He was at Notre Dame as a receiver. Came to Ohio State to play defensive back. And I think the assumption was that he probably wouldn't actually get much opportunity to play defensive back here at Ohio State. And he carved out a role at the nickel position. And I watched, I thought he had a really good year. He played some last year, but this year, obviously, he was a starter. I thought he had a really solid year. Made some key plays. Ohio State has a nickel do a lot. You got to know nickel. You got to know safety. You got to do a few different things. And I've seen him in some certain situations where I've said personally, like, hey, he should have been beat. The only way you're not beat on this type of play is that you got to be fast. So I knew he had some real speed. So I always expect him to go 4.3, but the 4.2 I thought was truly impressive. And if you ever met him, man, I think he's such a great person. He's a smart guy. So I think he made himself some money for sure. He should be a guy who gets drafted with that type of speed. And I think he has some more development at the corner. Again, he started as a receiver. I think he's going to continue to learn on the defensive side of the ball at corner a little bit more and be able to do more. And if he ran a 4.2, that means he could have played some outside corner. I feel like he only played nickel, but he could have played outside, man. So, there's I think for all of those guys, Arvell, Reese, Sonny Styles, Lorenzo Styles, there's still some more that they haven't tapped into yet.
No, that's a good point. And obviously, like I say, with Lorenzo, he already shows a lot of ability on special teams. So, if you're now, the pencil starter, you got to be able to perform on the special teams. And that's something he would do no problem. That's just, once again, who he is, how he kind of, it's just spot here at Ohio State. So I know he'll do that at the next level. So excited to see how early he gets. I'm just saying now how early he gets drafted due to pin down a time like that, and how he carved out a role for himself on Sundays. Let's get into this. Now, obviously, we had several guys at the combine. I think we had 11 total, 4 on offense, 7 defensively. Right now, we're potentially, I think maybe 4 guys in the first round off our
Yeah.
defense potentially. Let's talk a little bit about Caleb Downs. Now, obviously, Caleb Downs, he participated at the combine. He didn't do much. I don't think he tested. I don't know if he did drills. I didn't see much from him at all, but I think he did actually show up at least at the combine. For a guy like Caleb Downs, and I guess you're starting to see this a little bit more, guys doing certain things and not doing things at the combine. Does that hurt his draft status? He's already a safety, right? So we could kind of have
Yeah.
a whole conversation on how high do you draft a safety, period. And then secondly, him not, I guess, going out there. And it could have been a number of things. I mean, it could have been banged up for the season. Could have been a number of things. Could have been just like, hey, I'll save it for pro day, whatever the reason is. But is there a chance that potentially he might have hurt himself a little bit in his draft status by not participating at the combine?
Yeah, it's hard to say that he would have hurt himself at all because one, he's a guy who's considered a high pick. He's shown what his value is, and is more so the versatility that he brings. He's not a tall guy. He doesn't have super big hands and all that those other measurables. So those things were known coming in. And then I think the one thing, and we'll see if he runs at pro day. One thing you kind of want to see is just how fast he is. And I think that's kind of it. Uh, a guy like that goes to the combine and impresses every defense, every GM, every head coach based on how he can interview and show his knowledge of the game, right? That's kind of what the
Yeah.
value he brings. So I don't think he necessarily hurt himself. Some guys still have him as a top defensive player or maybe even a top player in the draft. So you probably hurt yourself more if you go out there and just have a bad 40 time, honestly, than if you just don't do nothing at this point.
Right. No, but speaking of 40s, obviously now Carnell Tate went out and ran, and obviously it's always competition for who's wide receiver one, right? But Carnell Tate, he goes out, I think he ran a 4.5 40, and there was a buzz around the internet because at the time he ran this 40, the GM for the Buffalo Bills, Brandon Beane, was doing an interview. To me, it was sarcasm. Like, you're gonna run a 4 for kind of slow, you should fall. Making a joke like teams shouldn't pick him up, so maybe
Yeah.
Buffalo, who's drafting later, could have a chance at him. I thought it was a joke, but him running a 4.5 compared to a lot of wide receivers who went out who ran 4.4, 4.3. I mean, does that
Yeah.
that what is a 10th of a second really matters? Like, in your opinion?
A tenth of a second matters. Well, realistically, it's only a few hundredths of a second. He ran like a 4.52 officially, and 300 for hundredths of a second, he's at 4.49, right? And we're not even having this discussion, right? That's different than running a 4.59, which is basically a 4.6, right? And there's already been reports that some of the teams have him at 4.4, between 4.46 and 4.47, something like that. That's Drew Rosenhaus's agent putting that out there, but at the same time, it's probably accurate, right? Because what I do know is that teams have their own time. They're not the official time is only for the viewers. When I ran the 40, I had 2 times, and they come out with one official time. And then I called, and I had the same agent, Drew Rosenhaus. It was like, yeah, all the teams had you between 4.33 and 4.37. All right. So don't run the 40 at the pro day. So my official time didn't matter at that point because every team had a list of where guys are in the 40 and they write it down. And it also doesn't matter if you run that 40 at the combine or if you run that 40 at pro day or you run that 40 in the parking lot. Like it's a 40. Right? And your fastest time is what they mark down as this is what this guy is capable of. Because they're just trying to get identification of your overall athleticism. So I think Carnell Tate ran fast enough to solidify what he's done on film. If you watch him on film, he's not a guy that's just a big time blazer. That's not his number one thing, but he's fast enough to put you in some conflict and run by you as well. And I think he showed that. I think he also solidified the fact that he is a top wide receiver in this draft for a number of reasons. And I'm curious to see if he actually runs that pro. I don't think he does.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see if he runs that pro day. If he runs that pro day, that would determine if he, feels like, maybe this time wasn't actually fast enough.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. I know my Browns, man. I think we got the number 6 pick, so we might be in play for Carnell Tate. I'm kind of got my fingers crossed on it, but we'll see, man. But I think like I said, all the other guys, a lot of guys didn't participate and do drills, but I think one thing that kind of stood out to me once I kind of went back and looked at the results was Will Kacmarek. Ran like I think a low 4.740, jumped a 36 vertical, close to a 10-foot broad. He showed out to me. He showed very athletic in every drill that he participated in at the combine. Be honest, I'll be frank. We knew him more as a pass catcher, right? And Max Clare was there as well. I think he did some drills. I don't think he did any of the timing things. I don't know, man. To me, it just kind of took me a little bit off guard, about how athletic Will was because we just really didn't get to see much of that at his time at Ohio State, just due to his role, right, and blocking and only really catching checkdowns here and there.
And that's kind of a consistent theme, is that a lot of these guys at Ohio State, solid players, like Will Kacmarek, great blocking tight end. He did a lot for Ohio State. In certain situations, he was able to catch the ball, and when he did catch the ball, he looked pretty solid. Like he looked good. But you also see, like, maybe there was more meat on the bone for that type of player if he was anywhere else. Like and obviously he's transferred from Ohio University. But if he was anywhere else, you probably you probably see more from him, and probably other guys as well, like Carnell Tate, for example. Right, he's a projected top 10 pick, but he was number 2 receiver on Ohio State. So I think that's probably just a consequence of where he played at. But I think he's a guy who likely, I don't know if he gets drafted or.
So are you saying Ohio State? Are you saying Ohio State is too talented? Is that, that's what I'm hearing too. That we too talented, or we should be doing more with the talent we have? Which one is it? Is it embarrassment of riches, or we need to get the ball to all the playmakers or potential playmakers that we have out here?
I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. I think there's a lot of talent where you can't realistically showcase all of it. But I also think there's a situation sometimes where it's hard for Ohio State to maximize what they have. And we're talking offense, right? There's only one ball on offense. But look at the defensive side of it. Right. Ohio State, basically, talent-wise, you just look at the draft and what it is showing up, and, pretty much, I don't know, 4 guys in the top 15 on the defense. Do you feel like that? I know the defense was number 1 defense. They checked all the boxes in terms of what they did. If you look at it, every box score, they performed at a high level. But I do feel like they left some stuff out there in terms of where they could have performed at defensively and offensively in this past year. That's my thoughts.
That's your thought. So, obviously, we got to go back to the last game. We lose the last game, so it's fresh. It's right there. It's the freshest thing in your mind. And what did we see in that last game? Right, we got Davidson, who went to the combine, performed well, 4.40, giving cushion. Right, easy curl routes and out routes for first downs up and down the field against the Miami Hurricanes. Right, and then we look at it offensively. We essentially run out of time, right? I think we all believe in the second half we kind of figured out how to approach attacking this Miami defense. That was good. But we give a pick 6 early that essentially we never have enough time with the football to kind of overcome that mistake that happened early on in the game. So we know we played slow all season. If we looked at it, we talked about it, like in the nation, was towards the back end of offensive plays called in the season, per game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the approach, but at the same time, you could argue we might have needed to have a little bit more in the game plan, or somehow to pick it up and play a little bit faster in certain situations when we are down. When we are playing some better competition, right?
When you need it. It's like if you're Ohio State, what the combine has proved is you have the most tools in the toolbox. Like, y'all got every single tool that you need. Can we just make sure we know how to use them all so that when the time comes, we use the right one in that situation. I think, what you mentioned is that tempo offense that we didn't see all year. I always assumed that, when we needed it, we were gonna bring it out. Like when we needed it, we're gonna be able to do it. And we just never were quite able to get there when you actually needed it. And then you watch Ole Miss. Was it Ole Miss? I don't know who played Miami after Ohio State. I think it was Ole Miss. And you watch Ole Miss use tempo versus Miami, and you watch see those D linemen who was hitting Julian Sain tired, like out there, hands on their hips. And you're like, dang, we could have did this. Right? We could have did it with better players. But then defensively, and offensively, you got a young quarterback, right? There is an element of making sure you bring the quarterback along and you're supporting him, given that he's in a hostile environment, he's going against veterans Miami, and it's tough, right? But defensively, I know the defense played well in general, but what you mentioned, Davison Igbinosun, he is a man corner. Like if I drew out the things that an elite man-to-man corner can do, he is that guy. He ran a 4.4. He has long arms. He's tall. He has length. He could jam you up. He's aggressive. Right? He's a man corner. I know there's issues at times with holding those things, but him being 9 yards off on 3rd and 8, it's just not the ideal situation for those guys. And I feel like there's an opportunity to better use the tools in the toolbox. And I thought the defensive play call and all that stuff was good. Did a good job of stopping the run. But when you send Sonny Styles on a blitz, 240 was a 4.4, just 43. When you send him on a blitz, and you send Caleb Downs on a blitz, and your corners are playing off at 9, the blitz doesn't matter anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I do feel like we left some players on the field. And I love the coaches. I love Matt Patricia. I like Ryan Day. I like the Arthur Smith hire. I think it adds an element that is needed on this team. I do think, Brian Hartline, the first-year offensive coordinator role, there was some growing there. Julian Sain, being a young quarterback, some growing there. I think defensively, they had everything they needed. They had the veterans. And I thought we left a little bit to just go take over a game and being more aggressive. And I don't know. I think that call might come from the top. Where, we don't want to lose a game by being too aggressive. But hopefully they learn from that and go into next year. There's a lot of big games next year. Sometimes you got to go win that game wherever your strength is. And I thought they could have done more this past year.
Nah, I echo that. But it's a new year. Our Buckeyes are they're done with the combine. So now we got a pro day coming up probably a couple of weeks. Gearing up for the draft. I think we're 1 week closer to spring ball. I think we got a week, 2 weeks before we actually start getting some ball going on there. And obviously we'll be bringing on. It's going to be some good competition, right? We brought in some guys. It'll be some good competition. So we definitely be tuned in and locked in and bringing in our viewpoint on what our 2026 team will look like. But please follow us on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Send us questions, send us comments as we continue to kind of gear up for this spring season and seeing what our 2016 could be. And do they have those horses? Do we sharpen those tools? Do we pick up that tempo? What do we bring to the table so we can correct the wrongs of the 26th season and get back to being Big Ten champions and try to compete once again to be national champions? But hey, we're going to end the show as always with a nice awake.
Ayo.
Go Bucks. Talk to you guys soon.
Go Bucks.